future?
Yes, I got from my teacher, blessed memory, Maulana Dr. Muhammad Fadlur Rahman Ansari, rahimahullah. I got a methodology for the study of the Quran. And that methodology led me to understand, for example, the subject of Gag and Magog. And not even Dr. Israr Ahmad, with whom I had a close relationship, not even he could I convince. So it's...
They were Methodists actually. All these scholars belong to somewhere in the policy to Jamaat Islami, Jamaat Akhwan al-Muslimun, and even Rafique Muhammadiyya University. They were all one part of thinking. They were Methodists. And now Ahmadi and particularly these old people, they also have the same part. They cannot, approach the religion openly. They have to do it within the master's lines. They cannot exceed their understanding.
They seem to be intellectually imprisoned in concrete.
This is right. They are prey to their own whimsical, patterns. Their own whimsical patterns. वो ऐसे नहीं है जिनको जरा ओपन हार्ट वैसे ये क्या अगर कोई शख्स ये कहे कि क्या रसूलुल्लाह को मेराज मिली थी तो माय क्वेश्चन है कि क्या उनमें इख्तियार था अल्लाह में कि वो ले जाते
Sir, what he's saying is that they talk about the Miraj and they question that did he actually go on Miraj?
But just the question जो पैदा होता है ना कि लोग क्वेश्चन करते हैं बहुत सारे अहमकाना सवाल
There are stupid questions.
कोई शख्स ये कहे कि क्या अल्लाह के रसूल को खुदा आसमानों पे ले गया था तो क्वेश्चन ये पैदा होता है कि अल्लाह ले जा सकता है देखो कितना अहमकाना सवाल है कि ख्वाब में गए थे या उधर गए लेकिन ये क्वेश्चन नहीं बनता The only question is whether he can take somebody up there on the high universes without any means and methods. तो उसका क्या जवाब हो सकता है फिर आपका अल्लाह कैसा है कौन है हाउ इज ही अगर वो नहीं ले जा सकता अपनी ही कायनात में है अपने एक बंदे को कायनात
One of the reasons why
mostly the modern tendency is that they don't believe in hadith. On the contrary, we say that Quran cannot be proved without hadith. If Prophet doesn't say it is Quran, it's not Quran. हमारे पास दुनिया और कायनात में कोई दूसरा सबूत ही नहीं है कुरान का सिवाय इसके अल्लाह के रसूल ने चाहिए कुरान अगर आपके पास कोई हो तो मुझे बता दीजिए There is the same face, same figure, same mouth. अल्लाह के रसूल एक बात को कुरान कह रहे हैं एक को अपनी बात So such people are there, naturally this is called, scholasticism, this cannot move with you. You will be considered as somebody who's getting ideas not from the earth. Sometimes if you claim to have this, فَأَلْهَمَهَا فَجُورَهَا وَتَقْوَاهَا, then it will be considered ilham. And if it is not ilham, then you will be guided by demons like Nostradamus. So things are not easy to make sure that the log kya chahte hain, what do they want from religious people. Even Shaykh Muhyiddin Ibn Arabi, even Ahmad says, Shah Waliullah of Kashmir, they all people think the same way. How can we ascertain only the prophets saying, like Ahmad saying 1500 years before, and now if we can get a correct hadith, then you can believe it. Then you can say that it is for sure going to come. My prophet said that Dajjal will cross a country and will throw fire on that people, and from the other hand he will throw food. It exactly came true when he was throwing, you see. In Afghanistan, he was sent food on one end and he was bombed on the other end. It is so exact. Whenever the Prophet said a thing, it was so exact. There is no part of doubt in it. It's not a hearsay, it's not a guesswork, it's the truth which is being revealed to you. Albatta, you can say, Giri, what is the placing of hadith in the eyes of Muhaddasi? What does Bukhari say about it? What does he, we cannot jump beyond the science. And you have studied the Bab al-Fitan too good.
Yes, I have. Because I was guided by Allah after completing studies in philosophy and with Maulana Ansari on Islam, to then study international relations in 2 universities. International politics, international economics, international monetary economics, the history of international affairs, and this is vitally important for eschatology in Mu'akhir al-Zaman. So I spent the last 20-25 years of my life on eschatology. I found while doing my PhD that I couldn't proceed further without eschatology. I came to Delhi, and this was in Geneva, and I couldn't find anywhere in the world of Islam scholars of eschatology. The Christians had a well-developed eschatology, the Jews had it, but we were doing eschatology from Hadith, studying it only in Hadith, utilizing the methodology that came from my teacher, that there is a certain way to study the Quran, the way you study the stars. And when you've done your work with the Quran, then you turn to the Hadith. And when the Hadith is in harmony with the Quran, you accept it. But if a Hadith is in conflict, or even in appearance of conflict with the Quran, you stay with the Quran. Using that methodology, I realized that our Prophet, Allah's blessing be upon him, never married a child. And they closed the doors on the masjid for me on that. No, he did marry a 6-year-old child. So this has led to this way of looking at the hadith has led for conflicts now. And they're blocking the doors of the masjid.
उससे असल में बहुत ज़्यादा अफसोस की बात यह है कि पीपल ये नहीं जानते. एक वजह, एक बहुत बड़ा सवाल होता है कि when Prophet married Aisha, why didn't he take her along? और क्वेश्चन ये पैदा हुआ तो पता लगा she wasn't mature, she wasn't a woman. 3 साल के बाद जब वो मेच्योर हो गई, वो साथ चली गई या 2 साल के बाद, तो क्वेश्चन ये है कि अगर एक औरत जो है मेच्योर हो जाती है 1 साल को, उसके बाद वो 80 साल वाले से शादी करे या 50 या 30 से क्या होगा? मसला तो द थिंग इज वेयर दे आर वेरी रॉन्ग इज द ओनली प्रॉब्लम. इसमें कोई सोचता नहीं है कि प्रॉफिट डिड नॉट टेक हर फॉर्म टिल शी वाज, जब वो तब तक वो बालिग, उस वक्त इतनी बलूगत नहीं थी. तो जब बालिग में ले गए तो उसके बाद कौन सा मसला रहेगा? सेकेंडली, पीपल आर वेरी मच मिस्टेकन अबाउट आयशा. अल्लाह के रसूल की जितनी बीवियाँ थी सल्लल्लाहु अलैहि वसल्लम, वो उनमें सिर्फ 17 हदीस मरवी हुई. Only 17 hadith has been quoted by those wives. उम्मुल मोमिनीन से 3000. और एक दफा हुज़ूर सल्लल्लाहु अलैहि वसल्लम ने फरमाया कि दीन का 1/4, 1/4 part of the deen is with Aisha. Because all the private life, all the private attitudes, behavior, things which aberrations, prayers, सब अल्लाह मोमिनीन आयशा के पास. अगर वो छोटी उम्र में शादी ना होती और मेमोरी फ्रेश ना होती, it would have never come to Muslims, and it did not come to Muslims to any other wife. Maximum 17 hadiths are reported by all the rest of the wives. इसलिए one of the major part of the Prophet's life had to be issued through somebody with a very fresh brain, very strong temper. She had a temper of a teacher. And because of her, even today every Aisha has an angry temper. आज भी किसी आयशा को आज उसकी वजह से she had a temper of a teacher. And every Aisha has a temper of teacher. It may go this way or that way. And classic memory. She retained every bit of Prophet's private life because Prophet's private life was not private. It had to come to us. It had to come to Ummah, the daughters of the Prophet and the sons of the Prophet. It had to. इसलिए अब अगर आयशा को if you try to look at it, ये कोई औरत तो नहीं है या उस ज़माने का वक्त नहीं है. If you look at my mother, whether she was 6 years or 9 years, I have only one guarantee: Prophet did not take her home till she got her balugat. और जब कोई औरत बलूगत पा जाए तो उस पर कोई I myself seen 8 years old girls and 12 years old girls. It's a full program of Winnie Opera in America. It was so funny. If I would look that woman, she would look for a 40 years old woman, and I was looking like a 15-year-old man. It was a full program. तो बात करो कामत, बात चीजें इतनी बढ़ जाती. They were so strong by genetic inheritance, by heredity. उनकी ताकत बहुत ज़्यादा होती है, but Ummul Mu'minin was very delicate. और particularly जब Hazrat Umar ने ताज़ा दिया, but he scolded Hafsa and said, तू उस गोरे चेहरे वाले की से जिद करती, यानी जो जन्नत में और ज़मीन में और आसमान में उनकी बीवी.
MashaAllah, you have a distinguished profile as a scholar. And
I'm a normal teacher.
My friends around me now were all very keen that I should meet with you and pay my respects to you. I'm very happy for this occasion today to.
My pleasure too. I did hear of you in England also, but I'm always in a hurry. तो मैंने अलग बूट पहने होते हैं, कोई पत्ते नहीं होता, इधर का जाना होता है, तो सारी पास आन और उस वक्त आपसे मुलाकात.
And I'm just close behind you. By the moon, I'm almost 82, but by the sun, I'll soon be 80. So we are close to each other.
Is it easy for you to come from South Africa?
My forefathers traveled from Hyderabad, Deccan, to the Caribbean, to the island of Trinidad, close to Venezuela.
आप भी शे बोलते हो? You also speak शे?
The Hyderabad dialect, do you speak it?
No. The British destroyed the British system of education, attacked the local language to destroy it so that you speak only English. So I was born in Trinidad, my father and my grandfather. But my father and mother could converse with each other in the local dialect when they don't want the children to understand. But in this generation we've lost it all. This is British education.
Yeah.
The Dutch were not so successful in Indonesia as the British were, But the family did not originate from Hyderabad, Deccan. They originated from this belt, which is called Khorasan, the northwest of Pakistan, Iran, Afghanistan.
Nostradamus writes in Greater Mohammedan Empire. He calls this by Greater Mohammedan Empire.
So I am from that part of the world, maybe Pashtun. But I came to Pakistan. I studied 1 year at Al-Azhar in Egypt as a young man. But then I left Al-Azhar because of Maulana Fazlur Rahman Ansari. And I came and studied with him in Karachi.
Maulana went to Turkey in Ansari. Why was a different Ansari?
Maulana Fadlur Rahman
In the battle of Gallipoli.
Maulana Fadlur Rahman Ansari was a student of Iqbal at the time when he was at Aligarh University. Iqbal was the towering intellect over the whole university, but most of all over the Department of Philosophy. The man who was in charge of philosophy was Professor Sayyid Zafar al-Hassan. He was the teacher. But Iqbal was a luminary, and he studied philosophy there, and he also studied Islam under Maulana Sayyid Sulaiman Ashraf. And because he was spared the Darul, and he got his insights from Iqbal, he was able to respond to Iqbal's call for the reconstruction of religious thought in Islam. Iqbal never did it himself, but he asked for it to be done. And of all the students of Iqbal, he has done more than anyone else for this process of reconstruction. And in the process of reconstruction, the most important contribution he has delivered is the methodology for the study of the Quran and for assessing the Hadith. And you must have seen his 2-volume book.
Riwayat or Daraid per bhi likha.
What's that?
Riwayat or Daraid.
No, the name of the book he wrote in English.
It's in English.
He wrote in English, The Quranic Foundations and Structure of Muslim Society, in 2 volumes. And I always ask, why did he write in English? Why not in Urdu? I realized that he probably came to the conclusion it's a hopeless task to try to change that thinking in the Darul.
Perhaps we also, because we have so less books, like many thousand people ask, how can we know? We are not well akin with Urdu or this, and they want something well translated to know about God, Prophet, Quran, book, and this. So, to be translations everywhere do help us when we are
We have the book translated now to Urdu, yes. But my profile of scholarship has come from Iqbal through Maulana Fadlur Rahman. That's why I'm in conflict with the Darul. They don't want to see my face. I don't depend on the electronic media. I depend on my books. I've devoted a considerable time.
I never went on the media. It is some of my students, they try to keep on. I have nothing to do.
Yeah.
And after then I saw it, I was so much misquoted
Yeah.
on media comment. Then I told them, यार अपना एक ऐसा स्टेशन बना लो कि जो कम से कम सही बात उन तक पहुंचा दो.
The electronic media can be helpful, but we must not be dependent on it. So I devote my attention to writing books. And
There was a
alhamdulillah,
question which I wanted to ask.
yes,
There is always a visionary thinking and there is always a well-studied thinking. We study a lot and then we make a statement. And the best of the studies lies in Quran and Hadith, no better, no less. But when we are passing on information, तो उसमें है जो मैं आपसे क्वेश्चन पूछना चाह रहा हूँ, your statements are very strong sometimes about the coming times. Are they supported by your psychic vision also, or they are simply written and recorded?
whenever I interpret the Quran, as I have been doing, or interpret a hadith like the mountain of gold, I always insist that no one should accept my view unless convinced that I am correct. Because I don't want to produce a generation of parrots. People who think mechanically. Secondly, that only Allah can confirm that an interpretation of the Quran or the Hadith is correct. So an interpretation must not be used to divide the people and to create sects. If an interpretation is correct, as I am convinced that several of my interpretations are correct, like the Jasad for example, then that constitutes truth, and truth will survive. But if an interpretation is wrong, as I have made mistakes in the past, then tomorrow it will be forgotten. But you still get the blessings from Allah for the effort that you made, provided that your niyyah is correct. This is how I have been interpreting, and I have interpreted several verses of the Quran in a unique way, which is Allah's kindness. Normally when you say something no one ever said before, you could lose your head. You could lose your head. But on the contrary, while there's universal rejection from the scholars, the large number of people who accept what I'm saying as correct, despite my warning to them, don't accept it unless you're convinced, is constantly growing. So I have come to the conclusion, I don't need to bother with those who are closing the doors of the masjid on me.
Well, Muslim scholars these days are taking breaks. They generally take a break from any intellectual from the West. I met a teacher, Rafique in Akhtar, and I asked him very sincerely, who pays you to write these books and those ideas? So he told me America pays us. So many people are there. He wrote a book, The Dreams of Mullah Omar. He wrote a book, and he writes many other books. Similarly, many of Muslim scholars are busy in this job on the dictates of the West or those people. And lucky are those people, I think today, who are not approached by any CIA or FBI or anybody. I think they are too clear about them that they won't take it back. और वो लोग इतने ज़्यादा हैं हमारे the religion which is now being put in this society is not that जो हमारी तरफ से नहीं गया हो, ये उन दानिश्वरों की तरफ से आया हुआ कि जो मुख्तलिफ सिटीज़ में स्कूल्स में मुख्तलिफ पैसे लेकर ऐसी किताबें लिख रहे हैं, कोई मलेशिया बैठा हुआ है, कोई किधर बैठा हुआ है, वो उनकी अपनी मुल्क नहीं है, वो बैठे हुए हैं जस्ट बिकॉज वहाँ उनको सपोर्ट मिलती है, मीडिया मिलता है और वो मुस्लिम उम्मा का कोई कुछ नहीं होता.
Understanding of the reality of modern Western civilization is derived from the Quran. I can't get the scholars of Islam to go to the Quran to explain to me from the Quran the phenomenon of modern Western civilization. They refuse to do it. They seem to be incapable of doing it because of a defective methodology that they're using. When I go to the Quran, one of the things that the Quran tells me about modern Western civilization is that Gog and Magog are located within this civilization. This caused the parting of ways between me and Dr. Israr Ahmad.